This is Rogers TV.
Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. I finally realized I needed help. The people at Janes & Noseworthy really took care of me, and I'm glad I chose a local solution. I felt like they understood me better. Getting help with my debt has given me the energy, the headspace, and the time to make my dreams come true. A chance to start again with knowledge, support, and people in your corner. Are you looking for that kind of help? It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
When an impaired driver killed my brother DJ, some people used the A word. They called it an accident, but it wasn't. An accident implies that no one was at fault. But when someone impaired by alcohol and/or drugs chooses to drive, they're fully responsible for the crash that can result. So please, for the memory of my brother DJ and the thousands of families whose lives have been shattered by impaired drivers, let's drop the A word.
A crash caused by impaired driving is not an accident.
And welcome to Out of the Fog. I'm Lynn Hammond. Tonight, we'll be talking about financial health with Ian Penney and Leah Coultas. Then Jacob Critch is here to talk about his passion for music as a producer and songwriter. Join us after these messages.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy DC, and I am the Thursday night host of St. John's local tradition, Out of the Fog. You know, local matters here on the show, and from arts and business, not-for-profit, anybody doing anything great to make our province a more rewarding place to live and work. It all happens right here in the studio. So join me and my boy DJ Slim Macho every Thursday night for Out of the Fog.
You're watching Rogers TV St. John's.
And we're back. Leah, Ian, thank you so much for being here today. And we're going to talk about financial health. So, Ian, maybe let's start with you. You are an insolvency trustee, yes, among other things. So maybe you could kind of tell us about your role and what you do to help people kind of navigate their personal financial situations.
Sure. Well, I'm a CPA and a licensed insolvency trustee, so I'm actually licensed by the federal government to help people and companies that are in financial distress. Mm-hmm. So basically my role and the role of the people that work with me is just quite simply to sit down with people, understand their story, understand how they got into trouble, and then look at what their options are to get out of trouble. So for some people, it could be tweak your budget, refinance your house, get a consolidation loan. For others with more serious financial difficulty, like Leah, it could be a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal. So it really depends on the individual. And our role, quite frankly, is to give you an independent assessment of where you are, what your options are to get where you want to be, and ultimately to help you get there by filing the bankruptcy or proposal for you if that is, in fact, the solution you need.
So Leah, you know, you're here today to talk about your personal story. So I'll just let you go into it. You know, you met with Ian, and you know you were in a circumstance where you needed financial help. Yeah. So please go ahead and share your story.
Ooh, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, basically, when I came to them with my question of, you know, what do I do with this situation, and we did determine that, you know, insolvency or bankruptcy was the right decision for myself. You know, of course, all the feelings were there, like the shame and the embarrassment and feeling like a failure and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, once it happened and once the process had begun and I saw my debt going away, you know, for me, my mental health started to improve. And so from there, basically just in a conversation with a friend, confiding in them about basically how much better I felt afterwards, and that wasn't something I was expecting. I guess I expected the things to feel, I expect to feel relief, but I didn't expect to feel a sense of empowerment. I didn't expect to feel a sense of pure happiness in my life again.
And I mean, you're a yoga teacher, so or is it a yoga teacher or what's
yoga teacher.
So you know, mental health and physical health. I mean, that's part of the life that you live.
Yeah.
But then financial health, I guess, you know, as a society, we kind of compartmentalize that a little different.
Oh yeah. I mean, we don't discuss finances a lot of times, you know, even with friends or with your partners or with your families. You know, finances are usually pretty low on the list. It's an uncomfortable discussion because there's a lot of emotion behind it, whether it's shame or whether it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. It comes from a lot of places. For me, though, it's funny because it was only when this happened to me that I was actually able to then create my business, Gentle Yoga with Leah, because it was actually through that process that I was actually able to free up some of my mental space to be like, I want to help people. And I was already teaching a little bit, but not quite as much. And then COVID happened, and then it was sort of like all of this seemed like divine intervention in some way that I was like, I'm meant to help people. And so, you know, and this is part of my story and part of my journey. I've been through a lot of things over the years. I've been through depression, anxiety, all the things, and this is part of it. And so I thought, you know, if I'm going to be silent about this, then what's the point of it all, you know? And so for me as a teacher, trying to help people, it just makes more sense to be transparent and to be honest. And to be honest, since I have, it has freed up even more.
Freeing.
Yeah. So I felt a lot less shame about it. Even now, just discussing it, like I feel nerves about it, but it's a process, and you know.
And so, Ian, you know, I mean, I would think that, you know, a lot of people who come in to see you are not even necessarily, or are just kind of saying, "This is where I am. Help me." Like, is that is that kind of the common situation that sometimes there's something like I often say, you know what, bad things happen to good people all the time, you know, and is that the, you know, some of what you see?
Yeah, it's a, you know, everybody's different. So most people that come see us have reached a point where they're in some pretty serious financial difficulty. Not many people come in and, you know, you're spending too much on your phone bill, and your rent's too high, tweak this, tweak that, you'll be fine. Most people have had, you know, they've got a lot of debt, there may be a divorce or sickness in their family, or maybe there's something catastrophic, their bank account has been seized, or their wages are being garnished, and that's what precipitates the call. They still, most people don't do a whole lot of research before they come to us. They just said, look, here's my situation. You say you can help, what can we do? And, you know, it's a bit of a process to go through it all, and everybody's story is different, and, you know, you got to give the person a little bit of time to sort of explain how they got there, because they're still embarrassed, ashamed, whatever. We don't feel that way because it's what we do every day, but you know, for most people it matters how they got there. You know, I got divorced, my kid got sick, and then you just kind of build from there, and all the things that Leah's describing.
What should people be looking for, though, you know, in that before they get to that point? I mean, other than a kind of a unanticipated kind of catastrophic event in their lives, you know, what should people be looking at kind of on their path, you know, to know that, you know what, my financial situation is going in the wrong direction? Like, what are the, I mean, I would think there should be some.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things, and normally it takes more than one. Like some people maybe have a house that's a little more than they should have for their income, or a car. It's a little more expensive than it should be, and you know. But the big warning signs are when you start to build. You find every month, you know, the amount I owe gets bigger.
Right.
I make a payment. The principal balance never seems to come down. That monthly payment's getting bigger and bigger. You know, I'm running out of money before this check is gone before next check starts. Some people, this check is gone before they even get it.
Yeah.
You know, those are the warning signs. And then once you get into the cycle of, you know, high interest loans, high interest second mortgages on your house, payday loans, you know, borrowing from family, those are the types of things that really, really are getting into some very serious financial difficulty then, if that's some of the things you're doing on a regular basis.
And so I know back, you know, during the regatta when we had a chat, you had said that you saw that insolvencies have really been down over the last, say, 18 months or so, you know, likely because some of the COVID supports.
Right.
Is that? So, you know, with things changing now, do you think that there'll likely be, you know, some people finding themselves in financial difficulty again?
I would think so. I mean, for a year and a half or so now, a lot of people, both businesses and individuals, have gotten a lot of federal government support, be it through wage subsidies and income support and so on. And those are starting to dry up now. So I guess the question becomes, you know, did people recognize that this wasn't going to last forever and use the money and save it to pay their taxes because all this CERB money is taxable? Or did, you know, they spend most of it and there's no money in the bank account, there's still no job, and they didn't use the money to pay down their debt, so maybe there is, you know, a rough spot coming for a lot of people as they start to wean off these subsidies. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months.
And what do you think financial literacy overall means? You know, do you think, Leah, that, you know, if you had been more empowered as a younger person, that you would have had a better understanding of financial management? I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot of education around finances in any respect. So you think about, depending on how you were raised, depending on how your parents were raised, you know what I mean? This is a generational thing that we're talking about, like with respect to financial health. And you know, when you talk about, especially like you mentioned about with COVID, it's like, well, what do people do when they're stressed? We want to spend money. We want to do the things that distract us from, we want to numb us from the feeling that we're feeling. And so this is the big part that we're missing here, is that, you know, when it comes to financial health or mental health in general, it's how do we manage our mental health? You know, we watch television, we eat food, we do drugs, we do whatever it is. You know what I mean? Spending money is a big part
shopping,
of that, right?
You know, like,
and because it makes us feel, it's the immediate gratification of that, right?
You know, you would see on Facebook, you know, the kind of, oh, you know, hide your packages from your spouse kind of jokes. But, you know, the reality is, it's not a joke, because every package, you know, if you can't afford it, is really pushing you further into the financial hole.
Yeah, so it's like, until you're actually addressing the personal issues that you are having with your own self, maybe going to therapy, that type of thing, then you know, you're going to be denying a lot of things and running from a lot of things. And
And so, you know, for you, how do you feel? I mean, I know you said, like, there's been a weight lifted from you, for example. You know, what else has changed, do you think, for you? You know, kind of, I mean, I'm sure it's been a personal learning experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, it has definitely forced me to look at my finances in a different way. You know what I mean? Because I've been in denial for a very long time. Like, the spending didn't just happen overnight. Like, this has been on and off again my whole life. So it's like, it really forced me to have to look at, and I'm still struggling. Like, it's not like it just magically waves a wand and then you're no longer spending the things. It's like, you know, you have to really dig deep and be looking at your daily budget. And that's
Did
hard.
you have to change your patterns?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just get the help and then go back to doing what you were doing before, right?
And there's definitely aspects of that where, you know, I've had to catch myself many times, you know, and it still happens, you know, because the thing is, it's dealing with, like, understanding that I like to spend money when I'm stressed out. And so it's like, when I'm under stress, what am I going to do? I'm going to go out and eat food with friends, or I'm going to go have a few drinks, or whatever it is to relieve that stress. And so it's trying to figure out other ways to do that. And again, those things don't just happen overnight. So it's a practice that happens every day. And, you know, but it does force you, because they help you with that as well. And that was one of the things I really enjoyed about the process, was having to fill out a budget every day. As much as, like, that seemed like, for me, it was like, really? Like, I have to write down what I'm spending in gas? And, like, you know, but it was eye-opening for me to actually look at, oh my God, I am spending this much in food a month, like going out to eat, takeout, which I'm sure a lot of people can, you know, understand. And so,
Well, that's it. I mean, it's not cash anymore, right? You don't even have to put your PIN number in. You just tap.
And everything is immediate. So it's like, you know, we don't wait anymore to save money to get the CD. I'm, like, aging myself a little bit, but, like, you know, it's like, I used to save my money to get.
Aging herself with the CD records.
No. I had records too. So it's like, or like waiting to get the thing. We don't wait anymore to get stuff. We just get it. We have our visas, we have our credit lines, we have all our things, and we just think magically things are just gonna work
See,
out.
I actually give my kids a cash allowance.
Oh, really?
Because when you got something in your hand, you appreciate it, and you save it up for a number of weeks, and when you go and buy, my kids don't buy CDs, but whatever it is, if you've got to take that money that you've saved up over the last number of weeks or months and actually hand it over and it's gone, all of a sudden the connection
You feel
between
that.
what
That's
you've given up
interesting.
and what you're getting becomes a lot more meaningful than me going and tapping the card and giving it to them, which, you know, it's easy to do, and a lot of people fall into that trap. But I made my kids save and handle cash, which I guess is unusual these days.
Any other parenting tips? No, but you know, but seriously, you know, in terms of teaching young people about financial management,
Well,
you know, for like things, for example, like even about interest, like not understanding that, you know, the credit card, you know, isn't money you have, and when you pay it back, you pay back so much more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, finances, I can't say they were a taboo topic between my ex-wife and I. She's, you know, fairly well versed, but I handled the money, and I guess not surprising, I'm a CPA. But around the table with the children, we would talk about money. If we were going to get a new car or go on a trip, they would understand that this cost money, and you know, this was a trade-off. You
For
don't,
something else,
You don't do a trip and get a new car. It's either or you know, maybe
And-
you stay in a lower-end hotel so you can have a nice meal, or maybe go to Disneyland, or you know. But they understood all those trade-offs, and I hope they paid attention.
Yeah, and you know, and that's it. You know, like we had a chat before about, you know, that even sometimes, even within family relationships, people don't like to talk about finances. And you know, regardless of your age, you know, someone could get sick, or someone could get hurt, or you know, and often if there's one person, who, you know, doesn't have any knowledge of their own financial situation, I mean, that can really be a difficult situation. I mean, I would think it's common as well with seniors.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, we often get calls from one, you know, from the widow or widower saying, my partner handled all the money for the last 50 years. They died 2 months ago.
I don't know what to
We
do.
owe this money I didn't even know we owed. Or, you know, I don't have the money to cover my rent and my groceries and my fixed costs, let alone pay off these bills. What do I do?
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to start from zero. Like, they got to go open a bank account, and, you know, they never paid a bill in their life. They don't have a clue what to do.
So, you know, and I guess, you know, we'll leave it with this for, and I'll ask you this question to both of you. You know, for someone who feels that they're in a financial crunch, what do you suggest they do?
I mean, for me, it was just asking the question. I just getting the courage, try to get the courage to just make a phone call and ask a question.
Yeah.
Everything's anonymous. No one's judging you. It's, you know, and a question is a question. You're just going to get an answer, and hopefully you'll get a whole lot of options.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and you may walk away and think, I don't even need to do any of this. But it's if you don't ask, then you're always going to be wondering.
Right.
So.
And so, I mean, whether it's you or another trustee, you know, when somebody comes and says, you know what, I think I'm in trouble, I need help. You know, what are they going to hear when they
you know, they're going to take the time, and I should start by suggesting be careful who you speak to, because particularly now on the internet, there's a lot of unlicensed, unregulated providers out there. So if you see licensed insolvency trustee, that means that person is licensed by the federal government, and you know, you're going to get a fairly consistent quality service from them. But really, it's just a matter of understanding the person. And you know, we don't sell bankruptcies and proposals. What we do is give financial advice. And a lot of times, it's going to be a bankruptcy or proposal because you waited so long before you come to see us that you're in severe financial difficulty. But you know, if all you need is tweaking of your budget or refinancing, we'll tell you that.
Yeah. So people should come sooner rather than later.
Come sooner rather than your options
they think
are.
They're in trouble.
Once your wages are garnished and they cleaned out your bank account and the car has been towed, you got fewer options then for sure.
Well, Ian, Leah, thank you so much. You know, I really would hope that people at home, you know, will continue this conversation themselves, and really appreciate you sharing your personal story.
Oh, no problem.
And thanks to you, Ian. I'm sure people hear you on occasion on the radio, telling them it's going to be okay. We'll be right back after this.
It all started when I racked up some serious debt. Interest payments were going up, creditors were calling. Janes and Noseworthy came up with a plan. Knowing that the phone was going to stop ringing and that I was not in this alone was a huge relief. Bankruptcy or a consumer proposal or whatever help you get is not the end. It's just the beginning. A chance to start again with knowledge and support and people in your corner. Are you ready? Get out of debt. It's okay.
Learn more about Leah's story at janesnoseworthy.ca.
are back, this time with Jacob Critch. So nice to see you, Jacob.
Yep, you too.
So, look, I've been hearing about you for a long time. Producer, songwriter, student, software engineer. I mean, you know, you're one of those young people who really seems to have a lot going on these days.
Yeah, I keep myself busy. I try to do a lot of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, really today, you know, we're here to talk about music.
Yes.
You know, you've kind of, you know, charted a different path for yourself.
A little bit.
Got interested in music, you know, as a teenager. So, you know, tell me about it. You know, how you really started creating your own music.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I started with piano lessons, guitar lessons, kind of like most kids do or whatever. And then I decided I was kind of interested in recording music and coming up with songs and needed a way to record it. So one Christmas, like 2014 or something, I got some recording gear, like computer, microphone, piano, and stuff like that. And I started making little off-time terrible beats. And I did that for a few years, and I started singing on them and coming up with songs. And little by little, I got better and more polished, learned from some cool people, and learned about mixing and mastering, and just kept trying to improve.
And so, I mean, you know, especially here, you know, kind of on the island, Newfoundland, you know, you kind of get a lot of that, you know, Irish, Celtic feel.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, you really have been, you know, very much into pop, you know, a bit of R&B, some other stuff. So, you know, what influenced you, do you think, to really, like, what made that genre so attractive to you?
Yeah, I think it really started with R&B when I was younger. I started listening to like Brian McKnight and Usher and Stevie Wonder, and I was really loving the kind of chords they did and the singing style they did with the riffs and runs, and that's kind of what got me into that genre. And of course, that leans into pop, you know, with, you know, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown, those kind of guys. They kind of mix those. So that's kind of how I started getting into the pop R&B space. But that's my humble beginnings of my kind of style.
So what I find really cool right now is that you're working with people all over the world. You know, that, I mean, the internet lets us do that now. You know, you were saying one of your partners is in Malta.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that's Ricky, my co-founded a company called Gill Kicker Music together. So we've been working together for about 4 or 5 years, never met. We talk on FaceTime and Zoom and talk almost every day, and we take on clients, stuff like that. And I met a lot of people, pretty much all my music contacts through Facebook, Instagram, and just reaching out to people.
Yeah. And so, I mean, one of the videos that you had sent to us, for example, is a singer in the Czech Republic.
Yes, that's Matej Smutny, who we have been working with now for about a year. And we're currently in the process of doing his album on Warner Music, hacking away at that. And we've done some fun songs together.
Our love, it used to be so colorful. Whoa. Now it's on black and white like a funeral. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now you got me tossing and turning in my sleep. So I gotta sort it out. I can get you out of my head. I need relief. Up until the morning, 'cause I really need you now. And I will walk the line for you. What's so amazing, magical? Your love is psychological. You make me feel complete. I'm falling for your love. Your love is psychological, baby. I miss the way that you used to taste. Yeah, your lips were like a drug.
And so, in the meantime, you know, you're also a student.
Yes.
And you're a software engineer.
Yes.
So I mean, for me, I would think, wow, like that all has the potential to come together for a, you know, a pretty kind of creative and diverse skill set.
Yeah, I've always been passionate about computers and programming, and that's also been a lifelong thing. So I would love to, and I've been working on a little bit diverging those paths, maybe in form of an audio plugin or virtual instrument, and I've been toying with that idea for a while as well. It'd be fun to make a tool for people to create music with.
And so do you work with people in person at all? Or is it really mostly online?
I do have some friends around town. I do have friends, yeah. There's a guy, I'll do a quick shout out to Joliker Leandre, who's also is into K-pop and pop songwriting, and he's a Munn student. We hang out and make songs together, and various other people around town. There are a few that's into this kind of thing as well.
Yeah, and so, but do you feel like the larger opportunities are kind of international?
Well, I think it's good to ignore the boundaries of geographical location when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it really comes down to who you work well with and who you can become friends with and build a connection, and how many other connections you might be able to get from that person. And so I think you should just reach out to everybody that is kind of, you think you might vibe with, and just ignore where you are and just go for the art of it.
And so, I mean, I'm sure you've had lots of advice from all kinds of different people. You know, how do you filter that out? You know, I mean, you had opportunities to go away to university, you know, to do a lot of things. How do you filter out or decide what advice you're going to take, you know, in charting your own path?
I think when it comes to music, it comes down to like following your heart, which is like cheesy, but you can't listen to some A&R guy or producer or vocal coach telling you to do this and that, because you got to just kind of go with what feels right and do your own research and go wherever the music kind of takes you and find people who you have fun making music with. And when it comes to music, you got to kind of just do your own thing and figure it out yourself.
No doubt, I'm sure you will have continued success. So thanks so much for being with us today, Jacob.
Absolutely, thank you.
And we'll be right back after this.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation tonight about financial health. Of course, it's just as important as our physical and mental health. And it was definitely a pleasure to finally meet Jacob Critch. Don't forget to check out his website. Join us next time on Out of the Fog.
If you have a comment about this